Hello, hi. It's so good to kind of see you all. Gosh, it is bright out there, but I hope you're all really enjoying the day so far. And yeah, I'm super excited to talk about what we do at The Writing Coach. And also over the course of the day, do come along to our stand. I'd love to find out more about you as individual writers. Excuse my voice today. It's kind of nice and husky, but I'm not on top form, but it's great to be here. So yeah, what we do is my background is also as a novelist originally. I actually started out in theatre, but I went on to do the MA in Creative Writing at UEA, and then went on to publish with Penguin and Bloomsbury. But I've seen so many ups and downs in my writing life. I didn't say I'm Jacqui Lofthouse, founder of The Writing Coach, and we are a small independent mentoring organisation for writers, and we offer mentoring, we offer manuscript assessment, but we've also, which I'll tell you about, we've got a super strong community, and we're also about to we've run a couple of retreats, and we're doing a retreat in Portugal next year, which we're really excited about. But The Writing Coach effectively is an organisation that really does have a coaching ethos behind it. We're very much about the whole person, and effectively my background as a coach means that we are very much like looking at our community as a whole. I'm just realising I can move these slides, yay. So I do everything from this framework, which is called the Writer of Impact Framework. And we really believe, as I say, in this holistic approach to the writers that we work with. So we start very much with this idea of devotion to our craft as writers. I think we're living in a world where there's so much focus on publishing, on agents, on success, and all of those things. I think it's very easy to get blocked by that idea. You know, can I get my book out into the world? And we focus so much on that sometimes. I know from the many writers I've worked with that can actually hold us back. And, you know, I come back to this idea that if we don't actually think about our purpose, like why we are writing in the first place, we can get super tied up. You know, I've got to get this great plot and I want to do this and that. And it can really freeze the book and stop the book from becoming what we actually really want it to be. And I think if we come back to that sense of like joy in the process of writing and curiosity, actually, you know, just like diving into that sense of this is something that I'm really fascinated by. I think any of you sitting in the audience today who have that experience of seeing, especially if you're fiction writers, but also in non-fiction, I think, seeing a whole world begin to unfold on the page and that sense of flow that you really can get when you're writing. That's the exciting thing. So I teach, and the mentors on my team, which I'll also talk about, teach this idea of balancing the organic growth of our work with a very deep knowledge of craft, but the craft underpins it, and we actually allow for that sense of alchemy, which is why I call it alchemy, and magic in the process. I'm thinking about John Fowles, who actually said, I do not plan my fiction any more than I plan woodland walks. And there are so many really great novelists who don't do everything by plotting things out in advance. They actually allow for their work to unfold. They read widely. They research something in real depth. And I think that's kind of so key. And I'll talk too about connection. We teach connection with other writers, the importance of community, with our readers, how to communicate with our readers, how to gain readers and do the marketing in advance of publication, and also connection, with the industry out there. This is our mission statement. Effectively, it's that we cultivate an unparalleled community of writers who each take pride in their very distinctive voice. This really matters to me. So many people, again, get stuck with this idea of, and I'm not saying that's you necessarily, but am I good enough? Or what's so different about what I'm doing? And I always come back to the words of Martha Graham, the American choreographer. And she basically said, she talked about that sort of sense of uniqueness. And actually, if you don't express that essence of who you are, she says it will not emerge through any other medium and will be lost. And I kind of, if you go away with nothing more from what I say today, just a reminder that what you have is an absolute gift to the world. And I just so encourage you to continue with your writing and to let it evolve over time. We have a really strengths-based approach in the way that we approach writing. That's not to say that in our manuscript assessment we're saying, oh yes, it's very, very good. Of course, we look really carefully at what you're good at, but we also think about, what could we do to improve this work. But you go away empowered and not feeling, I'm sure many of you would have had those criticisms of your work where you feel utterly crushed, and we're so not about that. We're about, this is what you're doing really well. Look at what you're doing on page 25. If you apply that on page 75, it's going to really elevate that portion of the work, learning what you're good at, but also developing your craft. And our literary community, as you can see, it does go beyond just the online world. One of the things that we pride ourselves on in our literary community, which is our membership, is that we meet in person. We really get to know people. The literary community is our membership. It's £35 a month. You might see it on the website as 55. But drop me a line because we're actually just about to change that. In fact, it will change in the next month. And it offers online classes weekly in creative writing. It offers getting together online, live on Zoom to write. And it also includes these twice yearly get-togethers. So I think the first one was at the Tate Modern, and the second one was both our winter outings. In summer, we tend to go to Kew Gardens. And it's just, I know every single person on there really well. We have an incredible sense of people who just come back with us and to us and work with us year after year. In fact, I can see a couple of people on that top slide there, Josephine and Verinda, who we met in this very room a couple of years ago. So leaning into our literary community, this was at the Tate event there, treat your writing as a beloved profession and take dedicated action towards your professional goals. We're all about the habits, we're all about the self-belief, and also starting to think about what is unique about yourself as you build your writer brand and take it out into the world. This is just a sample of some of the books that have been published. We've got many writers who've obviously gone on to be published. And I'm really interested in these very, very different routes. There's a real mixture there of big trad publishing deals, self-publishing, small publishing. If I just take one example there of artificial wisdom on the bottom line there, Tom Weaver. What was fascinating about his story is that he came to us, he was mentored by one of my team, Mark Legat, and also some other members of our team. We've got people in all genres. And what actually happened there is that at first, Tom did decide to self-publish. Many people here know how bruising that whole agent process can be, and we see amazing books passed over so many times. But over time, Tom absolutely got on board with his marketing and did an incredible job. It was always a wonderful, wonderful book. And as a result, it's one of those great stories whereby now it's just been published as a lead title with Penguin. So it's a fabulous story of, self-publishing does not mean that you won't actually go on to traditionally publish. And in fact, I don't hold one above the other. Obviously, I could talk to you for hours about the pros and cons of each approach. If we look at Caroline Biggs there, for example, I mentored her through the non-fiction work you'll see there, The Spinning House, which is about the fact that Cambridge University used to lock up women in their private prison, believe it or not. Incredible story that she unearthed. Similarly, she went through the agent route, didn't have immediate success there, but we encouraged her to go direct to small publishers, and she eventually was published by the History Press, and it's all taken off from there. She's doing so many events around that book and is incredible at how she gets that vital story out into the world. Yeah, that's just a quote from Tom, pretty much what I said, connected him with Mark Legatt, and he's now, or has been working with Mark on his second book too. And I know earlier the Discoveries Award was mentioned too, and this is Farhana Sheikh, who is a publisher and a writer, and I mentored her as a result of her getting a Develop Your Creative Practice Award, which is an Arts Council award, and she was mentored by me as a result of that award and went on to be longlisted for the Women's Prize Discovery Award. So again, just another really great story. Before I talk about School for Fiction, which is one of our programs at the moment, I just want to say something a little more about this idea of balancing organic growth with a deep knowledge of craft, because to me it feels super central to what we do as writers, and I want to encourage each of you in this room, when you return to the page, to remember that sometimes just a few really simple concepts can help you to write a really engaging scene, and you don't have to see the whole picture. I'd see it time and time again, people held back by this idea that they don't see the whole, and yet sometimes it's just a few really simple tricks that allow us to move forward. So for example, with a particular character in mind in a scene, I just say write each scene with a sense of direction. Just know what that character wants in the moment. And just get a little index card if you're stuck with a scene and write, who's my character here? What do they want? What's getting in the way? And what might shift for them in this scene? You can take a few really simple points like that, on the back of an index card like this. And again, that's not even planning. That's just giving you the confidence to go into the scene. And don't write it so quickly that you're NaNoWriMo style, just like getting the words down. But equally, don't agonize over every word. We all know what magic editing can create. So I would say, just get into that scene and let it unfold before you, and don't be perfectionist, because that's, I think, when the alchemy comes in. I'm sure everyone here has experienced this, but I also know that we can forget it. We can think, oh, I'm stuck. We can actually stay away. I've done it myself, we can stay away from our work for weeks, maybe even months in some cases on end, because we think we don't know how it's going to end, or we think we don't know the answer, and we forget the fact that returning to the page with a few simple ideas is what enables us to get us thinking about the work again, and that's kind of what I want for you to just remember, that if you come to, it's the bum in seat thing, just get to the page and suddenly everything will start to come alive again. So I just want to talk briefly about a couple of our programs. I've talked already about the literary community, which is our ongoing monthly membership. We've also got something brand new coming, which is our School for Fiction. I've obviously taught fiction writing 4 years, and as I said, it's like, I don't mean for 4 years, for 20, 30 years, but for many years. And I've often taught live, so this School for Fiction, it's going to be my first recorded online course in fiction writing, a 1-year journey, but we're also going to have live elements to the course. We will also have online learning, and we are going to have every month a special guest. So in month 1 in November, we've got Salma Begum, who's a literary agent, coming along as our guest. And in December, we've got my dear friend and colleague, the best-selling novelist Louise Doughty, is coming along to be our December guest. And the programme also includes 20,000 word feedback on 20,000 words of your writing work. And it also includes feedback from an agent on your first 5 pages of the work and your pitch and synopsis. So when you do reach that stage, that's there for you. By total coincidence, we've got also something that closes today, which is that we've got a Developing Your Novel or Memoir course in May next year in London, a live course, and that's also included for people who book today. Happy to extend that by a day or two for people who are here, as I'm aware that is very, very last minute to give you that additional information. But if you are interested, do pop along to our stand outside, because we've also got something really special that we're offering people who are just here live, sort of in person in the room today. So please do come and speak to me if you're interested in that programme, or also Jacqueline Smith, my colleague who's on the stand. And yeah, that's our membership, the literary community. You can find that on the writingcoach.co.uk membership. But again, just drop me a line, because as I say, we're changing the pricing and it's going lower on that one. We also are one of the partners of Creative Future who offer mentoring prizes. Have I got a slide about this? No, I will tell you about that in a moment. But briefly, I will tell you about our Portugal writing retreat. It is what it says. We're having a fab time next April. If this is something that appeals to you, do come along and find out more. I think there's 15 rooms. We've got about three left now. So if the idea of kind of coming along for a week of writing workshops appeals, I will tell you more. It's a wonderful place, and we're going to have a great week. But I did want to, just talk about the fact that we offer prizes for Creative Futures. We also have scholarships for the literary community that will be opening in January. So do get on our mailing list if you're interested in being considered for one of our scholarships. Also for underrepresented writers, we offer 3 each year. And what else do you need to know? Get Black on White is my online course. We offer a donation to Spear, a homelessness charity. So, yeah, I would love to tell you more about that too. I think just checking what else I haven't told you. Yes, do get on our newsletter list out in the foyer. We are we're doing a prize draw for everyone who signs up to our list today we'll just pick a name out of the hat for 7,000 words of feedback on your writing work from one of our teams. So do sign up. It would be great to be able to tell you more about what we do. Most importantly, I would say, just back to that essential message, before I leave you, I just want you to absorb all of the great knowledge and information that you get over the course of today and allow it to take you back to that place where you know that your work matters. You know, this isn't about comparison. This isn't about who's going to be a success and who's not. It's actually about the fact that, we all know we live in a really troubled world in so many ways right now, and artists and writers have a hugely important role to play, which isn't to say that I'm suggesting you all write really political work or anything like that, but actually simply that expressing your truth is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And also I think it comes down to what it means to be human, to actually express, who we are as individuals. So I could talk for hours about this, but I won't. I let you guys have a break. But thank you so much for listening, and it's been a real, real pleasure, and I'd love to have a chat with you later today.